Is the Securities and Exchange Commission finally coming closer to approving a Bitcoin Spot ETF? Well, the month of June saw a cascade of financial institutions rushing to file applications, fresh on the heels of financial institution BlackRock, who filed theirs on June 15th. Many other institutions took advantage of the situation by resubmitting new applications, since their original applications were rejected. It should be noted that BlackRock wasn't the only reason for the resurgence of Bitcoin Spot ETF applications. Some of that credit goes to the ongoing court case between the SEC and XRP, the native token of the Ripple network. Now, the SEC has long alleged that the selling of XRP constitutes as the sale of unregistered securities, because they argued that what Ripple was selling are akin to investment contracts. Well, on July 13th of this year, a US federal judge made a ruling that sent the crypto world into an ecstatic frenzy. It was seen as a partial victory, as the judge ruled that XRP is not a security. Now, that ruling was years in the making, since the initial lawsuit was filed in December of 2020. While the judge's ruling was indeed what many of us were hoping for in the industry, there is still a lot of work that needs to be done on the road towards establishing a clear regulatory framework for digital assets with the federal government. Now, the SEC will most likely not go down without a fight, and they will probably seek to appeal this decision. There is also no guarantee that this legal precedence will become the standard upon which cryptocurrencies shall be judged on when determining what is or isn't a security. Of course, Bitcoin is exempt from all this, as it is recognized as a commodity. Remember, the whole argument regarding if cryptos are securities only pertains to altcoins. Despite the road ahead, we'll take the good news where we can get it. After all, the negative crypto sentiment can't last forever. The rest of the world is already rapidly moving ahead, leaving the United States behind in the race for financial innovation and technology. Additionally, while the president continues to share an anti-crypto stance, he will not be able to stop the adoption forever, as he will be up for re-election in a race where many of the candidates are embracing Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. I myself dislike politics, but I am not naive to the fact that it shapes our world. That being said, I will be sure to make a future video about which politicians are pro-crypto, but I digress. As I stated earlier, a lot of the financial institutions decided to refile their applications with the SEC for a Bitcoin Spot ETF. But what exactly is a Bitcoin Spot ETF, and why is it seen as such a crucial milestone for the cryptocurrency industry? Well, an ETF stands for Exchange Traded Fund, and they are essentially pooled investment securities that can be traded on the stock market. Like mutual funds, they typically track an index, but the fact that they trade like regular individual stocks on the market is what sets them apart from mutual funds. Now, these ETFs can contain a basket of securities, and there are many types of them, from ones that contain stocks to ones that contain bonds. I understand this is a crypto channel, but I also believe in a balanced approach to finance, which means having a well-balanced portfolio. If you guys would like to see videos about traditional investments, please let me know in the comments below or shoot me a message on Instagram. Now, the Bitcoin ETF is so important because it would be an investment fund that tracks the price of Bitcoin, allowing individuals to invest and gain exposure to Bitcoin without owning the cryptocurrency directly. Now, this would allow more mass adoption, as there are those who want the ability to invest in these digital assets indirectly through their trusted financial institutions rather than learning how to use Coinbase on their phone. The fact that their financial institutions would have to follow some regulatory guidance also gives these investors the next added layer of reassurance. But you might say, Ryan, there are already Bitcoin ETFs that have been approved by the SEC. The first one was approved back in October 2021, the ProShares BITO, to which I would say, yes, that is technically true, but that was a Bitcoin futures ETF. In fact, the SEC has had no issue approving Bitcoin futures ETFs, with there being at least 6 to date, possibly 7. But what's the difference? Well, a futures ETF are financial contracts which allows investors to speculate on the future price of the ETF itself, without actually owning the underlying asset. Now, these contracts are traded on futures exchanges, and their value is derived from the price of the ETF. As you can see, while a step in the right direction, it falls short of a spot ETF, which would be an investment fund that follows the price of Bitcoin itself. So who are the major players? As we already know, BlackRock filed their application on June 15th of this year. They are the world's largest asset manager, and experts say that if anyone has the best chance of succeeding against the SEC, It's BlackRock. Now, the next financial institution on our list is WisdomTree. They originally filed in March of 2021, but they were given the runaround by the SEC before finally getting rejected later that year. Inspired by BlackRock, they have filed yet another application in mid-July 2023. Then we have Galaxy Digital and Invesco, which are two separate institutions, but they are listed together on this list because they both decided to file jointly in September 2021. Also on the heels of BlackRock, they also filed a fresh application mid-July 2023. Continuing down the list, we have Valkyrie Investments, which first filed in January 2021, but was once again delayed like so many others and then rejected that Christmas. In early 2022, they did manage to get a Bitcoin mining ETF approved by the SEC, but as for their spot ETF, they filed another application for it June of 2023. Next, we have ARK Invest, the investment firm led by none other than finance mogul Cathie Wood. Their initial application occurred during June of 2021, but was rejected in early 2022. Now, ARK refiled immediately after this rejection, only to get served with another rejection in January 2023. Then they submitted again in June of 2023, which makes this ARK's third attempt to date. It's important to note that changes and revisions were made to many of these firms' applications once they got rejected. It's not like they're taking the same application and resubmitting it blindly. The SEC has never been definitively clear with how these firms can make their applications successful, but recently it appears that the firms need to identify surveillance sharing agreements with their partners who would help manage their ETF. For example, BlackRock named Coinbase as their crypto custodian and BNY Mellon Bank as their cash custodian. Others have followed suit and refiled, but not all firms have explicitly stated who their partners would be. Regardless, this kind of persistence and perseverance in the crypto space is going to be what it takes in order to make progress. I know it can be frustrating sometimes. Speaking of persistence, the next investment firm who resubmitted a new application is Van Eck. Now, they are one of the earliest applicants, having first filed jointly with SolidX in 2018. While this application was withdrawn in September 2019, they filed again in December 2020, this time without SolidX. Sadly, this also ended in a rejection in November 2021. Undeterred, Van Eck submitted another application in mid-2022, but that was once more delayed and then rejected by the SEC in March 2023. Most recently, they have resubmitted another application in late June of 2023. Lastly, we have Fidelity, who first filed in March 2021 before getting rejected in January 2022. Now, the SEC constantly rejects these spot ETFs for fear of market manipulation, but refuses to listen to the arguments that the digital asset industry has matured and is sufficiently decentralized to prevent such manipulation. Fidelity resubmitted a new application at the end of June 2023, but the SEC raised some concerns regarding it. Upon learning of these concerns, Fidelity quickly moved to name Coinbase as their partner for their surveillance sharing agreement. I hope this video proved useful to you all. I know some topics about crypto and finance can be rather dry for some, but I appreciate you sticking through with it. You just might learn something that can help you grow your wealth. Knowledge is power, and that is what I aim to deliver in each of my videos. If you appreciate the hard work and research that goes into the channel, I would love it if you subscribed and give us a follow on Instagram. Well, that's all for this one, guys. I'll catch you all in the next one. See you around.